Hello, my name is Jane Walsh, and I'm currently working on a first class requirement, and this requirement is explaining evidence of an environmental issue in your area and how it can be addressed, how you could help it, and how it's hurting your community. And the environmental issue I chose is a runoff. The town I'm doing it in is Warminster, which is my hometown, and this runoff is actually, believe it or not, in my backyard. So it's not the biggest problem, but I found it. My neighbors have explained to me how it is affecting our community, well, a few houses in the community, in a bad way. So the runoff, it's constantly being polluted by trash. Here, I can actually, never mind. So it is, I guess I could give proof. So it is constantly being polluted by trash, just trash that is put on the streets, and in the parking lot next to the church, next to my house. It is constantly blowing down to the runoff, and it's getting inside of it. And this isn't the only problem. There's several issues, but this is a big one. All this, it's just really bad because pollution in general isn't good, and it's harming the area. Here, I'm almost there. And one moment. So here is some of the pollution. I'll try and get a good shot. Not the best one, but if you look closer, there's some right there and over there, and there's just pollution all the way down the back of it, which is harming the area. And then a few major problems is right there, the water in that pipe, it should not just be sitting there. It's actually affecting the area because the water needs to get through. But I'll come back to that, sorry. Okay, so a big problem is constantly my neighbors have been contacting, mainly a neighbor right across the field from me. She has been here for over 50 years, and she's been near this runoff since she was just a kid, and it's been there. She explains how over the years the runoff has been able to flow fine, but lately, over the years, dirt and rocks have been building up, and like trees falling down and stuff, it's affecting the flow of the water. And she contacted the Centennial Building, and they didn't believe it at first. They thought it wasn't a big deal because it was just a little runoff stream that's only affecting this one area. But as you see, the ground is a bit elevated, so when the runoff comes in, there's only certain times when it really becomes a problem. But when it does, since the ground is so elevated, it has trouble flowing through, so it just sits in the pipe instead of going all the way through. When sitting in there, it shouldn't be sitting in that one area because it's not good. It's just disgusting, and it's affecting the animals that are living in the area. And they got the Centennial Station, the people from the Centennial District, to come, and they finally did come down with bulldozers and whatnot, and they cleared out the area of the fallen down trees and everything that was affecting it, and then they put tarp over it. Here is some evidence of the tarp that they put over it. There's some tarp right there. It's kind of hard to see, but there's tarp going down, and this tarp was supposedly supposed to help smooth along the path for the water to go, but it didn't work how they planned it to work. But they didn't really care about addressing this issue until the neighbors really explained to them that it's affecting the area how it is. And after a while of pleading and for them to do it, they finally came out here and did it. But the problem is that the tarps, I believe I already explained this, but the tarp did not work correctly. And when the water does get really, when the pressure of the water and elevation of the water does get really high, which is very rarely, it flows through the runoff and it keeps on going. Here, I'll bring you. And all this area is where it's supposed to be going, but it's not the best taken care of because over time big sticks have fallen and the area becomes filled with tons and tons of weed, which weeds don't really seem like they take up too much space, but they actually are completely clogging the area. So only once in a while when there's very bad storms is when the runoff really travels through. But then this area right here, it really gets stuck there because it's just trees and sticks and everything bad, and it just sits there when it's supposed to be going down here. And this is the worst part, probably one of the worst parts about this issue. Right here, that tube right there. So this is one of my neighbor's yards. And right here, the water's supposed to be going through there. And when it does go through there, when it gets high enough, the water's actually leaking. There's actually problems on the ground, and the water's leaking into our neighbor's basement, which clearly should not be happening, and it's really annoying for them, and they have to find out a way to deal with it. But it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do because no one can exactly know where it's leaking in from. Like, there could be little cracks in the walls, and the problem could be coming from 10 to 20 feet under the ground with a little crack going through. You understand what I'm saying, and if you don't, I believe the water could be coming from the smallest space and just getting in. So this water, it's not the largest deal, it's not the biggest runoff, it's not the biggest deal, but we have had neighbors send in reports and get into arguments with the district and the council of Warminster, explaining that this should be addressed. And another problem with it is right here. This area is, the water comes in here and it also just sits here and it gets disgusting. And another reason why the trash is a big deal is because my source told me, a few sources, but one of my main sources was the lady across the street. I'm not across the street, across the field. She has actually been coming out here lately, and I asked her earlier today about it. She's been explaining to me how a lot of the trash also flows through and it clogs up the drains, and then a lot of the time the trash gets stuck out here and then it's just sitting out here, which is never good. And yeah, that's the main part of it. Oh yeah, that's the main part of this environmental issue. Another part of it is a way to address it. I was asking her about it, but then I realized she said she didn't really talk about that much. So another way that I believe that you could help it is, since clearly the community is not putting in much work and effort to help out, I believe by going through this, getting all the trash will be really good. My neighbor also she addressed that to me a bit. She said if I were to do it, go get all the trash out first, and then clearly, since there's a rough path, I was thinking about coming back out here with my shovel and making a clearer path, so that all this rockiness, so all of this isn't making a clear path through. I was thinking maybe it would take a long time, maybe like a year or two, but I think that if we can get the proper help, then it could work. Getting the proper help, making a clear path where all these rocks are completely removed. See, there's a Hershey bar wrapper. I was also thinking about coming out here with a plastic bag and a stick, one of those sharpened sticks, and picking up the trash or getting on gloves and stuff, and then maybe just weeding this area with a weeder, whatever it's called, I forget the name, but yeah, you get the point practically. So yeah, this is not the biggest environmental issue. I know that I've said this several times, but I'm just trying to make it clear. It is definitely one that can be addressed. So yeah, hopefully people do put in more effort in the future. I am going to start coming out here. I don't want to mess anything up, so the main thing I'm going to do is just weed it a bit and take out the trash, and then I can leave the rest of it to the people who truly do know what they are doing. So once again, this was my environmental issue for discussing evidence of and finding evidence of an environmental issue in my area, which my hometown is Warminster, and showing evidence of how it can be helped and what the issue is. So have a great day, and bye-bye.